Welcome back to Just Talking. We have a great guest for us today, and that is actor, singer Don Most. Don, nice to see you today.
Jason, nice to see you. Thanks for having me on.
Great. Well, Don's going to be in a great concert coming up on Sunday, August 29th for Celebrate Kenosha. It's going to be a great concert. But before that, I'd like to talk to Don, maybe for those who don't know Don or is familiar with him, a little background. So, Don, I know you're a great actor. When did you decide to become an actor?
Well, when I was pretty young, I was about 9 years old, and I really got interested in it. I saw a movie called The Jolson Story about the great Al Jolson. And it was really, I was just taken, I know it wasn't Jolson playing himself. It was an actor, Larry Parks, who did a great job. But it was Jolson's voice and his story and the music. And it really had a strong effect on me. I went out and bought albums, and I was singing along to Jolson a lot. And so it was really the music that I was almost more interested in first, singing. And then I started learning about all the great, singers of that era of the Great American Songbook, and got a real education when I was young on that, and was actually singing in a nightclub act in the Catskill Mountains resort area upstate New York one summer when I was 14, 15 years old. I was doing this. So then I switched gears right after that summer and really concentrated on acting.
Well, everybody remembers you in Happy Days, just that iconic show. We got to talk about that. How did you get started into Happy Days?
Well, as I mentioned, I started really going after acting, and went on a lot of interviews in New York back then while I was in high school, into college, and started getting some work in a lot of TV commercials I was doing, because I was shooting those a lot in New York. And I did a couple of small parts in some television, nothing big, but it was mainly the commercials. And I was doing theater in college. And then I went out to California this summer after my junior year at Lehigh University in Pennsylvania. And I had made contacts in New York, so I was able to get an agent. And I was originally going to spend the summer just to kind of, make more contacts and network, and so that a year later when I graduated, I'd, maybe be able to have a foothold, so to speak. But I wound up getting some parts right away. They sent me out on a couple of auditions, and I landed a few guest starring roles very quickly. And then the decision I made after that summer was not to go back for my senior year, because my agent said, "You got some momentum, keep it going, and you take 6 months off, you can go back, but let's see what happens." So I did, and then I got another part, mainly dramatic roles. I was not looking for comedy. I was more interested in drama. I did a police story, and I did Emergency, where I played a guy who became paralyzed. So, but then nothing happened for a couple of months, and I was like, "Oh, I made a mistake," and I was going on auditions, but I wasn't getting anything, and then it got quiet. But then the interview for Happy Days came up, and then it turned into a series of auditions, and then a screen test, and then I wound up getting offered a part. Not the role I was originally auditioning for, Potsy, but they said to my agent, we were casting Anson Williams as Potsy, but they liked his screen test so much, they want to make a role for him and create a role that will be a regular and make him one of the gang. So that's how that happened. And then Ralph was born in that fashion.
How was it working with Gary Marshall on that?
What a incredible guy and talent. So lucky to have wonderful people to work with, Gary Marshall, and then the director, who was very close, Jerry Paris. And Jerry and Gary were very close because they had worked together on the Dick Van Dyke Show. Jerry directed most of those shows, and Gary was one of the main writers on the Dick Van Dyke. So working with the two of them was like, what a dream. And then of course with the cast that I had such the blessing of working with, Ron Howard, who I'd known since I was a kid, and people used to call me Opie when I was a kid because I had red hair and I looked kind of like him. And So you can imagine how surreal that was for me, being called Opie as a kid, and then here I am working with Ron. And then, of course, Tom Bosley, who had won the Tony on Broadway, and for Fiorello, and then Henry and Winkler and Marion and Hanson and Aaron. It was just an incredible experience. And we had a family. We became a family, and we worked great together and respected each other professionally. And it was just a dream, total dream.
Yeah, in the cast, there's a Kenosha connection. Al Molinaro is actually from
Yes.
Kenosha.
Yes, Al being from Kenosha,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and then we heard about that many times from Al.
Yeah, great. If we
Yeah.
could talk about it. You're very talented at what you do, the acting and the singing. It's just absolutely terrific. Yeah, so those who haven't seen, they can come Sunday, August 29th from 1 to 3 p.m. at Pennoyer Park. And so Don, if you could explain, so you're going to be doing some singing, some jazz. Let's hear about it.
Yes, Laura Kepler, who originally from Kenosha and Miss USA, felt she came up with this idea to put together the event. I guess she loves Kenosha, wants to bring Kenosha together, with everything that everyone's been going through. It'd be a great time for communion and camaraderie and getting together. So it's going to be a concert with some great musicians and singers. It's coincidentally the band that's kind of backing all the singers, Dave Damiani and his No Vacancy Orchestra. I've worked with Dave in LA at some jazz clubs. So when I heard he was going to be doing it, it was, oh, how perfect. And Haley Reinhardt is one of the great singers, and she's a platinum selling artist. Joe Piscopo from Saturday Night Live. And I actually once did a duet with Joe, so it'll be great to see him. He's going to be there. Oh, and then of course, Landau Murphy, who I am very familiar with, who was one of the winners of America's Got Talent. And he loves this. He and I sing the same kind of music, the Sinatra and the standards and all that. So we're going to do a duet together, a Sinatra tune. And then I'm going to do a few songs of my own that have, really take advantage of the big band sound and swing, kind of like jump blues and swing. And it should be a swinging time.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what, and believe me, it is just going to be a very well attended, crowded concert because people love that type of music. Why has that music been lasting so long? The Sinatra and Dean Martin and all that jazz type.
Yeah, I talk about this all the time. And when I do my shows, it's, there's a reason they call these songs standards. They stand the test of time. They're incredible. The music is incredible. And, when I do some of my shows, more than not, the demographic is people, not necessarily 18 to 25, but there are times when they are there for whatever reason. Maybe they've heard this music and they really became fans of it, or they're there. What I found, sometimes they're there because they came with, their parents, or they came with somebody, but then they're like buzzing at when I see them afterwards. They're like, wow, I love this sound, like they've discovered this new music, but they really love it. It's very infectious, and joyful, and some of the songs that, with some of the greatest writers of, in the century, of sophisticated lyrics, fun lyrics, heartfelt lyrics, witty, Cole Porter and Gershwin and Harold Arlen and, Rogers and Hart. I can go on and on, some of the great writers. And you can't help, if you're exposed to this music properly, you can't help but appreciate it. That's the way I feel.
Absolutely. Well, I'm definitely going to look forward to this concert coming up on Sunday. How about for people who want to learn more about your CD or any upcoming performances? Do you have like a website or a social media that people can look at? Or?
Yeah, DonnieMost.com.
Okay.
But I also post a lot on Facebook as Don Most, and have a music page there and a personal page, and then on Instagram it's Don Most 1, and on Twitter it's at Most_Don, so people could check me out there. And I also wanted to mention, I think Laura Kepler is also a co-host of a podcast,
Yes.
Health
Uh,
Interrupted,
yes,
right?
Health Interrupted. Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, she's another one that's great just to give back to the community. And when I saw that lineup, my eyes just lit up. I'm like, I had to do a double take. It's just really going to be iconic when you guys the whole performances are going to be just absolutely
yeah,
terrific.
I think it's going to be great. I've seen Landau; he's fabulous, and I did something with Joe, and he's great. And I know I've heard great things about Haley Reinhardt, and the band's fantastic, the orchestra.
Well, Don, thank you so much for talking with us today. It's just going to be a great concert that Sunday, August 29th from 1 to 3 p.m. at the bandshell at Pennoyer Park. And Don, we'll look forward to more of your work and definitely your performances. And thank you so much for talking with us today.
Oh, it was a pleasure. Thanks. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.